I wanted to make a quick reference to this report. I often do, and it's because this report, a joint project report by IBISWorld and IBM earlier this year, made a really interesting summary of the entire Australian-specific market landscape. And it did so by breaking down the entire market into 509 sub-markets and then taking a perspective about what would happen in a digital economy to each one of those. And this chart summarises them, and the red box illustrates our fantastic industry and why it is under such change. The 4 columns there, and I really do apologise for having to go into this detail on a wordy chart, but the right-hand column with D at the top means that sector will be destroyed. And that's a subsector. The second column with the G at the top means it'll generally remain not too affected. The third column with the S means significantly changed, and the fourth column headed with T means completely transformed. And if you look down that destroyed column, there's a bit of a standout, don't you think? 10 subsectors described as destroyed in a digital economy sense, and at the other end of the scale, 8 of the 25 utterly transformed, and only a small number in the middle left unaltered largely. I think if you ever wanted to think about why we might need to talk about this stuff, that sort of says it. So we've developed this collaboration tool environment, which was built to service the needs of our animal health laboratory in Geelong, because it has 4 levels of biocontainment. The 4th level of biocontainment requires showers and clothes changes 4 times to get all the way in, and another 4 to get back out. But what we found is as we expose what we're doing in this environment to all of the other labs, there are more and more and more reasons to use a very similar environment across other domains, and we're now starting to, in fact, commercialise this into business solutions as well for other environments. So just to give you an idea, there's an electron microscope scan of some particular virus. Let's not talk about those things, they're horrible. But if you can just make these little videos run, thank you. There's a couple of examples here of extensions to this. So within that work environment, we're finding now that when large groups of people are collaborating on those very detailed images, you can't have them all sitting close enough to the big screen. So we're now starting to segment that big screen into small elements that can be dispersed on tablets. Now, another interesting piece of work that we're doing is with avatars. Well, this model actually uses the reference points that your face has naturally to create an avatar that can move other face animations. And in fact, just as an interesting loop around, this has some very interesting scientific applications, which is the reason we were developing it in the first place. But just last week, I was showing this to some folks, and from it came an opportunity for a movie maker who's now interested in licensing the technology for a movie. This is a 3D assistant that allows a remote operator's hands to be embedded into the view that you on the mine site can see. So you look at the screen on the left, you can see the hands from the remote operator on the right. And that person on the right is then able to, as an expert, guide you through perhaps an instrument you haven't seen before, to repair it or maintain it, or to do something with a piece of equipment that you're not familiar with. So that remote assistance element in an augmented reality environment is a very interesting one. And the final one I wanted to share is one that we're doing around a remote mobile telepresence tool. So we're running a project at the moment where we're building this robot for the National Museum. And the whole purpose of this robot is to be able to the robot participates in tours of the museum, and kids remotely or other people remotely can join that tour via what the robot is showing, and allows through a 360-degree camera remote people to be able to control and see what they're interested in seeing during that tour, interact and engage with the tour guides and be virtually there, even if they're completely somewhere else. And I'm really trying to paint this picture that the collaboration tools within science and business today are in fact a precursor to the tools that we will see migrating all the way back around into the consumer market as we blur that line and in fact converge that space between consumer and business. And this whole social networking environment that grew from the consumer market for the first time in history is migrating its way to the business sector. And so I think that these sorts of collaboration tools are playing more the traditional role of going from business and science towards the consumer, like many of other of the technologies. So to just wrap up now, the collaboration is about migrating from the early work for scientific reasons and then into business and then towards the consumer. And collaboration tools used remotely will actually start to be used when we're together because they add to the experience even when we're together. And I think that's a really interesting measure of collaboration, is when we start using the tools even when we happen to be in the same room. And we're starting to find that with that lab in Geelong, is that tool is used because it's useful for collaboration even when the people are in the same space. And video plays a fundamental element of this, and augmented reality plays a role going forward in more and more interesting ways for all manner of things which we're only just starting to explore. And this innovation, it really is just the beginning, moving beyond that video conferencing element to a set of business tools which then can transition all the way back into the entertainment space. I think that's a very interesting cycle that we will see increasingly. So I think that's where I should leave it, and so thank you.